all the lines align, you have a good relationship with the people, it's a great place to work, and you know if you refer someone, that person may get an opportunity, and then you choose not to because you need to send another email, I would fault that person.
I still wouldn't. Like I would still give people the benefit of the doubt. Like
if all the lines, if everything aligns.
Even if everything's there, that's the thing, right? Like you wouldn't go and do it to them, right? If you wouldn't go and confront a person about it, then why spend a minute of it thinking about it?
No, my point there is, you won't know the ones that align and don't align, right? So if I say, hey, Abu, I have this person, can you refer? And you say, hey, Gloria, I'm sorry, not at this time. That's fine. However, if you, right, you that I sent that email to, right, you know the lines align for you, you can refer that person, right? Then I think you doing that is wrong. Because you would never know if the person truly had the ability to help or not. You would never know. Welcome to Negotiation Secrets. This is your #1 negotiation podcast for females and also for men who want to level up their negotiation skills. I have men and women from different parts of the world, different stages in their career, who come in and share their experience, and then we'll learn from them. I'm doing a series with Gen Zs. It's a 3-part series where I'm just going to pick their brains and learn how they negotiate and how they navigate life, and I believe we all will have something to learn from them. I'm your host, Dr. Gloria Isomeme. I'm an internal medicine physician. In this episode, I have Abu. He's one of the hosts of a podcast. It's called the Dollar Diaries. I'll let Abu introduce himself.
My name's Abubakr. So I did a bachelor's in finance and IT.
So it's finance and IT?
Yeah, so bachelor's in both.
Okay.
Bachelor's in finance and IT. I started off as a software developer, technically, which I lasted for 4 months before I moved on to a role in venture capital. So when I was in uni, I was like really experimenting with startups and all these things. Most of them failed, not most of them, all of them failed, but it was like part of the learning process of it. So I went into VC. Nearly 1 year later, the principal of the VC wanted to start an interior design company.
Okay.
So we moved into the interior design company full. So it was supposed to be a tech-based interior design platform and everything. We went in with a certain expectation, and 4 months later, the company went bankrupt. A lot of various factors, like we made like typical startup mistakes that we shouldn't have done, and so some of the mistakes ended up in it being not the product or not the service we wanted it to be.
Right.
So after that, before the company went bankrupt, I quit my job because I was doing the accounts for the company.
So you knew what was coming?
Yeah, so I knew.
Oh my God.
I knew if I stayed 1 more month, salary is going to be tight. So I was like, dip. Then I spent nearly a year of being unemployed. I was searching for jobs. That's when we started the podcast. And I was taking that time to finish up CFA. I was trying.
What is CFA?
Chartered Financial
Accounting?
Chartered Financial Analyst.
Okay.
Yeah, Chartered Financial Analyst. So I finished my level 1, level 2 is still in progress, and level 3 is yet to be done. So I took some time off for myself. Even though I was unemployed, I call it like a vacation period for me to just reset, understand what to do and stuff. In the meantime, I was also teaching IT at a vocational university, which was like a 3 days a week commitment, like 2 hours. So go and teach and stuff. And then what happened is that the principal who started the company, he cut his losses in 4 months, and he invested extra money in our closest competitor. So exactly 1 year later, I got a call from him saying that, hey, these guys are hiring, you want to join? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? I'm not like I have many options.
Right.
So I went in. I honestly, like, I had like another offer as well, so I was not 100% sure because I didn't realistically want to work with the person.
Yeah.
He's like, we have like a very love-hate relationship. Like, I go to his house, I know his family, he knows my family, like we're really good, but like working with him was a nightmare. So I was like, do I really want to work with him? I went in, like I had no expectation that I was getting the job because I just wanted to go because I didn't want to say no to him.
Yeah.
Went in, like I had an interview with the CEO, CDO of the company, not him. And we hit it off. Like it was like a wonderful interview. Like this was one of those interviews that I felt so happy with.
Yeah.
A week later, I'm in the job and it's been 1 year in that job.
Okay.
Now, to your question, why I didn't want to work him.
Yeah.
I like him, amazing person. I learned a lot from him.
Yeah.
But he has like a very for a lack of better term, boomer sensibilities when it comes to work in general, right? Everything is like, for him, like success or like a productivity is a factor of how many hours you work,
Oh, I see what you mean.
rather than how you do the work. So
Yeah, he micromanages
quite a bit, and he is an older gentleman, right? He's a very successful older gentleman.
Yeah.
But what was successful in
What
like
worked 20 years
ago
ago,
is
it wouldn't
not what
apply
it's today,
today.
right?
Yeah.
Everything's at our fingertips.
Yeah.
You know, like ChatGPT has made things so much easier.
You don't
right?
have to memorize so much stuff.
Exactly, right? And work doesn't, like, to do X amount of task, it doesn't really take that much time. Yeah.
Yes.
And also, I felt like I didn't see the point of being a salaried individual working like 12, 13 hours shifts for profitability of somebody else.
Right. If you're going to put in hours, let it be productive hours that will end up being yours, not like
exactly
you're working for someone else. And it's not even productive time, you're just marking time.
Yeah, we're just marking time, right?
Yeah.
It's like clocking in, clocking out sort of a situation. And it is also like, hey, the agreement and the contract that we agreed on is that do X amount of things, you pay an X amount of money.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't say like
how much time you need to
how
spend.
much time I need to do it in order to get it. It doesn't say things like I have to work the nights and everything. Like, where we had a lot of disagreements is that he saw work as like a battlefield and we were soldiers. And to be fair, it's neither a battlefield nor are we soldiers. So it's like a really stupid thing to really compare it to, because people died in battlefields. This is not a die situation. Like, if the requirement document for the tech stack is like a couple of hours late, nothing's going to happen. People are not going to die. Nothing's going to happen. Like,
it's not medicine.
Yeah, it's not medicine. It's not life-threatening.
Yeah.
It's not a matter of your country's security.
Yeah.
It's just a startup. Relax.
So question for you. So you were in school and you were working on some app. You worked on an app and it didn't work out. Is that what it was?
Yeah. So
let's say you said 4 months.
No. So what happened is the 4 months software development is right out of university.
Gotcha.
Right. So during university, Ghazala, who was here before, me and Ghazala, we were working on an e-commerce platform to sell abayas.
Oh.
Right. And there were a couple of things we've done stupid. Like, we were 18-year-old kids. Like, we were pretty stupid, to be honest with you.
I don't think you were stupid. You were just inexperienced.
Inexperienced, right?
Yeah.
Inexperienced, naive. We didn't know how the world works.
And
we lived in an optimistic world.
Which is good.
But it doesn't work, if you ask me.
It depends. It depends. If you have optimism, right, and you have some degree of naivety, you will take steps that you would not take if you know too much. And sometimes taking steps is just what you need. And if you have the right mentorship to guide you and direct you, then you're going to go far.
Yeah, perhaps. Yeah. Perhaps, right?
Yeah.
Like, for us, like, the reason was that we were also, like, we were naive, optimistic, but we were also very risk averse in general. Right? Which is not a good, like, you would imagine, like, optimism, naivety, you take more risk. We were risk averse in general as two people. Like, you know, we, like, for various reasons. In my case, I didn't want to ask my parents for the money. Right. So I've always looked out like doing some things on the side, getting some money to put into it. And most of the times managing that with university, with that, you often run out of time. Right. And that meant, like, in my case, like, I did sacrifice a lot of time, like going out, hanging out with friends and everything. But even if you do all that, you just don't have the money. So if I take up I used to do web development projects, like a website development projects, which would pay me anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 dirhams for a project, right? Which is very, very, very low. Like, but that 4,000 dirhams, like, I have to think, right? Like, do I put all the 4,000 dirhams on a particular thing, or do I do some things on my own and save that money, right? Like, a lot of questions. And, like, generally being a risk averse person, it didn't play well. So, and this was...
So let me ask you a question. When you say risk averse, in what terms were you risk averse in your business?
Risk averse in the sense that, hey, if I had 4,000 dirhams and I gave it to a company that developed the tool, the software that we needed to go live, and I was risk averse to do this. Like, my question's like, what if it went wrong? What if that they don't deliver, right? And me knowing how to do things...
So you were doing it yourself?
Yeah, I was like, hey, can I save that 4,000 dirhams and do it myself. And that do it myself has limitations because I'm inexperienced. I haven't, like, this is supposed to be a product you're supposed to ship out to the rest of the world. This is not a janky website that you do
it's
for,
not
like,
just for the students on your campus that you're doing it,
right.
you're doing it for the world.
That cost benefit was purely miscalculated at that time, and again, inexperience
and
everything.
Also maybe you didn't have all the resources.
I didn't, but that, I would imagine that's really not a complaint that I get to have, because at the end of the day, I had a home to go to, I had food on the table.
But you also wanted to be an independent person of your own.
I do, but like it comes at the advantage of me having all of that. Like, I can go to my dad today and be like, hey, can I borrow some money? And he'll give it to me. Right? I am very privileged, but at the same time, like, I didn't want, like, I tried not to, go to my father and say like, hey, invest X amount of money, because that felt like a stupid thing to ask, because I was imagining me at my dad's place, and if my 18-year-old son came and asked me to do it, would I do it? I probably wouldn't, right? And that's not because I don't trust my son. It's mostly because I know there is lack of experience and everything. So my thought was like, if this fails, it fails. It's part of the process. You learn along the way, and eventually something happens that you use all this experience of failures to build on to.
So how many businesses did you have that did not fail? Because you say you had a few. So
two to be precise. So one was this, and
so the first one was you making like clothing and then trying to sell.
So we would have outsourced like some of this. So we would have partnered with like people in knife souk and areas and all these things, and it would just be a delivery service. And if I really think about it now, like we were at a really good time to launch that, because it was like when we were supposed to launch is when COVID struck, and like everybody was at home.
So that would have been a good time.
It would have been such a good time, and we were just like, it was we didn't have the things in place aside. The other thing is also like COVID was a very traumatizing event. Like, we were at second year of university. University is supposed to be that fun time of your life, like, yes, you study, you do all these things aside, but that is supposed to be the fun side. And like we were effectively robbed of 2 years of our university life.
I understand.
Right? So it was like, it was demotivating. All of us were like, stuck at home, cooped up at home.
Yes.
Pretty miserable, right? And that definitely had at least 20% to play into why we failed. The second one was what effectively started as a research project. So this was during COVID.
Okay. So you didn't get tired. So even though the first one did not succeed, you still...
Yeah, it's always like next. It's always next, right? Like, you can't be stagnant. Being stagnant worries me quite a bit.
It worries you. Why does it worry you?
Because like, what if I don't learn new things? What if I don't do something like...
But it's a good thing, but I'm just wondering what would happen if you don't learn something new?
I don't know. It probably has like a two-way thing, right? Like, one is probably like childhood. A lot of it has to do with the childhood that I've had, which is, by the way, it sounds like I had a bad childhood. I had a really good childhood. But the problem is that back in school, like, I was pretty terrible at academics, right? Like, I would say like grade 7, grade 8, all the way till grade 10, extremely miserable at academics. And that's because like my mom had like a complication when I was 11. So that would be when I was in grade 5.
Right.
And because of that, like I effectively missed a good chunk of grade 5 and 6.
And once you miss that foundation, it's hard to catch up.
It was very hard to catch up, and that 5 to 6 was crucial period. That's when they teach you like the foundations of algebra and all these things. Like, till date, I struggle with algebra quite a bit, right? And that's because that foundation was weak. It's not because I had a bad childhood or anything. It's just that was an unfortunate period of life. Like,
so you have that fear because of that experience. You want to keep learning, so you don't ever fall back into that situation.
Right? So that foundation period, and then what proceeded in 6, 7, and 8 were like a unfortunate scenario where I didn't have the best teachers, right? Like, and it's not the teachers' faults again, right? I was in a school where an average classroom strength is 50 students, right? The teachers, she's underpaid. She has to do like constant hours, stay back after the school to get things. There was no reasonable human way of...
There's no way she could give you that individual attention that you needed.
Never. It's not her fault. It's just the circumstance she was in and the circumstance I was in.
But at the end of the day, I think it's kind of a good thing. if we look at it now, because that has put you in a position where you always want to learn.
It does, but it also feels like I've missed like certain formidable years, right? Like grade 10, at least in my curriculum, Indian curriculum, is when you choose your streams, right? You either say that, hey, I want to be a doctor, or I need to pursue X, Y, and Z, like science and math, in order to become a doctor or an engineer, or I'll take the commerce route and like become an accountant, or go in the financial side of things. And my parents really wanted me to be a doctor, right? And I felt like I could have gone through and did that if I didn't screw up my grades.
So no, let me tell you, I didn't miss any grade, right? I didn't miss any class. I was in school the whole time. I was a really good student. From when I was little, everyone told me I was smart. But the sciences, chemistry in particular, was very hard for me.
Okay.
I just struggled. But my mother was determined that I was going to be a doctor. Come rain, come shine, I had to be a doctor, right? And so what she did, and this, so this is, I didn't miss any class. I was always in school. I was never sick. I was always in school. So what she did was she got me a private teacher, right? And when she got that private teacher, I was like, man, if this one is putting all this effort, I got to do it, right?
Yeah.
It was expensive. She made sure I went to a private school. I went to a private school. That was not enough. I still wasn't doing well. I was doing very well in other classes, but chemistry was just a struggle. And then she got me a private teacher. So my point there is, many people who end up succeeding, there's a lot of extra work that goes into it. Right?
It does.
Yeah. So it's so even, and yours was like a double whammy. Number one, sciences, it might be challenging for some people, right? And then
my biggest problem was math, to be honest.
And math is so easy. It's so easy. Once you get the foundations right, it's so easy, right? And then you miss that part. But my point, look, I'm a doctor, right? I'm podcasting now. You're podcasting. Right. So I don't see it. I see, to me, maybe because of my personality, I try to see the advantage in every situation, right? And I don't just give you like, oh, it's fine. No, I will pull out the facts on why it's great. Because number one, it gave you that desire to always want to learn. It gave you that desire of not feeling complacent. Like, oh yeah, now I'm here, I'm okay. No, you feel like, oh, there's something I need to learn. So it keeps pushing you to learn. So that's a good thing.
It's also like probably making up for personal mistakes as well, right? Like, and what happened is like grade 10, I was struggling. Grade 11, I chose commerce. I did pretty reasonably at that. I did commerce with computer science, and I was really good at computer science for some reason, right? My dad's from IT field. Like, I think some of these things are just generational, I think.
You think so?
Right? So I was really good at computer science. I was very comfortable 11 and 12. And I entered into university. University first year was genuine walk in the park. Right, like it felt good for the first time to be the smartest kid in the class, and since then it's like a narcissistic thing for me, where like I need to be in a room and be the smartest person in the room, otherwise it kills me.
You don't have control over the other person's smartness, but you have control over how you respond. Right? Maybe because I went to med school where it's the smartest people in the world, and naturally, I am not a competitive person. I compete with myself to be the best version of me each and every day, right? So every day I show up, I want to be better. Abu, maybe you have this natural tendency, you have this gift of maybe you can run very fast, right? And then I that I don't have the natural tendency, then I want to compete with you.
Yeah, it's probably a fool's errand, right? Yeah.
So I'll just be the best version of myself, and then I look at myself today and say, am I better than the way I was before? Yes. That does not mean I don't get inspired. I could see you do something, oh, Abu, I like how you did that, and then I want to do it as well. But I'm not going to say I want to beat Abu. I don't really care. But
yeah, for me, I don't know. Like, I know it's pretty, like, I requires change, but it's like I am a competitive person by nature. Right? Yeah, like whether it's like, so one of the things I do recreationally is go karting. And I go with my friend, and
you just want to beat your friend.
I just want to beat my friend.
It gives you some high.
It is a certain size. Like, we go to the gym together. Just want to beat the person, right? Like, if that person's doing extra rep, I'm doing extra rep, and I probably can't even do it. It's just like I need to compete like that. There is a joy in competing, right? Like, if I lose, that's fine now. Like, I'm very, like,
you're not a sore loser.
Yeah. So like, what happens is, like, we used to go for these pitch competitions and everything, and I take losses very personally, right? Like that really did not do well. Like, why did they win over me? Like, it used to be that, right? But over a period of time, it's like, you know what? I'm competing for the sake of competing. It doesn't matter if I win or lose. Like, it's like the competition is the adrenaline rush, not the win or the loss. The win or loss is just a consolation at the end.
Yeah.
So it's been better. Like I've grown.
You've grown in your competitive spirit.
Yeah, it's grown. Like now I'm like a proper, like a very sportsman. Like
now you're a real sportsman.
Yeah, but it took some time.
Okay. So you were telling me, so we were talking about before this, we diverted a little bit. So the first one was you doing the clothing business that didn't work out. And then the second one, what was the second business you were doing?
Right. The second business, this was during COVID.
Yeah.
During COVID, what happened is that we've seen, like, I genuinely enjoyed university at that time. And one of the teachers, we were all doing classes via Zoom. Okay. Right, and it's one of the most like impersonal thing you can do, right, as a teacher, right, because everybody's cameras are turned off, you're just speaking into a void, you have no responses, everybody's texting the answer on the chat instead of like turning on their mic. It was like, if you were an educator at that point,
it was frustrating.
It was frustrating, and education was like an important, like a very personal thing, because after grade 9, 10, 11, 12 is when I had like the best set of teachers.
I see.
Right, like that's what completely changed. Like they gave me the personal attention. I had to change schools for it, but
you had to change schools?
Yeah, I had to change schools, but the new school, like they had a lower teacher to student ratio. So they were able to individually pick you up.
Yeah.
And like, so that, like, I know what good teaching and what bad teaching can do for you.
Oh, of course.
Right?
Of course.
And like, so ever since, like, education has been like a personal point. Like I'm very close with the lecturers over there and stuff. And like, they were like, everybody had like one complaint, man, like I wish everybody, like, I don't get the feedback I get in the class. So what we ended up doing was building this tool which would, in theory, like, yes, it requires everybody to turn on their cameras, but once it turns on the cameras, it recognizes the face and the reaction throughout the class. So if your class is 1 hour, 1.5 hours, it takes your reactions on a minute by minute basis and effectively computes if the student is paying attention, not if they are not attention, sorry, if they understood what is being taught in class. Now, attention is very easy to do because you will take metrics like, are they looking at it, how many times they blink, smile, expression, all these things.
Yeah.
But you won't necessarily, like, just because I'm paying attention to something doesn't mean it goes inside my head.
Of course.
Right? So what we've had this sort of a system where it uses weighted averages to kind of figure out if a student understood what's being taught in class.
So this app would be for every student who was in class?
Yes.
So that means the professor would have to go review each student's?
No, so it would be like an extra dashboard which says like, hey, 20% of your students did not understand this concept. And then you click through and see who are those 20% of the students, right? And step one for us was to figure out, like, is this a legitimate thing? So we've written like academic papers for it, published a paper, we got it peer reviewed, everything.
Yeah.
And that was step one. Step two was to build that peer reviewed paper into a product.
Right.
We tried it with the product, we built a prototype, and the first thing I did was go to my high school, like the second high school that I went to, like where they taught me stuff. And we were having conversations with high schools, universities, everything.
Yeah.
And the sad problem is that I was sitting with the CEO of the high school and he was literally like, listen, we are here to make money. Right? We love to teach. Teaching's very important, but teaching is a product that we sell to make money. And if a product tells me that, hey, you have to spend money and the educational like the teaching quality,
it's not going to change the
ratio.
profits.
Yeah, the ratio is not proportional. Like the cost spent versus the quality.
ROI was not.
Yeah, it's A, not proportional, B, it's unproven. So it doesn't make sense for us to do it. And this is the unfortunate state of schooling in Dubai. It's for-profit schooling, it's not public schooling, right? So it meant that this, like, although the product would have worked, it wasn't a product market fit. Like, it wasn't meant for the market was not ready for this.
Oh, so you had to stop the project?
We had to abandon it.
Is anyone doing anything like that right now?
No.
Do you know something you could do just to test it? You could let people use it here for free and then you sell it to the rest of the world.
Yeah, but the problem with that is, right, like, every single minute of it being operational costs us money. And
I see what you mean.
If there is no reasonable profitability, then it doesn't make sense for me to take the loss. Right? Like if I take the loss, like a good example of a loss leader is ChatGPT, right? Like every prompt you make makes, like they are losing money left, right and center, and the reason they are able to do that is because their valuation is extremely high.
And we're talking billionaires here.
The
so
valuation,
they have the resource for it.
The valuation's high because of the promise of what it can make in the future.
Correct.
Right? In this case, it doesn't kind of justify that, because the promise of what it can make in the future doesn't make sense if the market itself is not ready for a product like that.
Yes.
So it's just an unaligned.
So what project are you working on right now? Because you've talked about two that didn't do well. So what are you working on right now?
Right now, our focus is the podcast and what comes out of the podcast. We enjoy doing the podcast quite a bit. Like we enjoy talking to people.
When you were introducing yourself, you said you had a gap of about a year between not having a regular job. However, what I heard you say was that you were still developing yourself, right? You were still taking classes, the CFA class, you were still teaching. So technically you were not without a job, because the question I was going to ask was, how do you get into the market after you've had a hiatus, you've had a space in your CV? So what would you, so let's say there's a younger person who's just like, you know what, I just got fired from my job, or I just quit my job, I don't know when next I'm going to get a job. What would you advise that person based on your experience?
Network. I genuinely, like, the two offers that were lined up for me were via network. This one that I joined was also via network. So ultimately it's a matter of not just going to networking events, talking to people and stuff. That's not networking.
What's the difference?
It's you do that, and plus you keep constant touch with them, which is the most painful, atrocious process of it all, right? Because it's like, hey, like you want to make it like, it's not about, hey, you reach out to this person if you need something, you reach out to that person even if you don't need something.
It's just
right?
to keep that communication line open.
And sometimes it is probably a shallow way of thinking about it, but you probably have to prioritize a little bit as well. So if somebody is at a C-suite at a company, that is a priority person that I want to keep a good rapport with, somebody versus somebody who's in a university student. That doesn't mean I will say no to the university student. It's just on the priority list, it has to fall down.
Of course.
Right? And it's probably a very shallow way.
No, it's not shallow. It's not shallow. It's not shallow. I'll give you an example. So in the hospital, right, if someone comes to the ER, someone who has a gunshot wound is the one we're going to prioritize, right? Because it's not like any life is more important, but it's the one that you need to life, because you have limited time, limited resource, so you need to know how to prioritize. It does not mean that if the other person who doesn't have much to offer you, if they reach out to you, you're going to be like, no, I'm not going to respond. But you put your energy on where you're going to get the highest result. I don't think it's shallow.
Right? So it's like, that's probably the way, either if you have like a gap in your resume, or you are just starting out, no matter where you are, you're looking for a change, no matter what, like this is a market where like network is important. Sadly how you enter into market. Right?
It's everywhere.
But I would imagine, right, like in my ideal world, it's a purely meritocracy based system, which
your ideal world doesn't exist.
My ideal world sadly doesn't exist. That's the problem.
Because so now you and I have a relationship. You know me, right? So if I am employing and you reach out to me, hey doctor, I have this person, I would look at that resume, but if that resume just flowing from nowhere, there's a chance that I'll be like, I don't have time for this. But if someone who I know and trust and like, and the person tells me about, refers another person, there's a higher chance. It doesn't mean I'm going to hire the person, but at least I would consider that person.
It goes higher on the stack, right?
Yes, that's the real.
It's also like a secondary thing. Like a lot of people that I know sadly don't do this because it's not because they are terrible at it. It's just they get busy with their work, right? Like if you got referred by somebody, like next time somebody want something, try to plug them into your company as much as possible, right? Like since I've joined the company, I think I've referred 3 people. One of them got a job, 2 of them just didn't.
So you say it's good to pay back?
Yeah, it always keep paying it out.
Not everyone has that common sense. It's common sense because it's you depositing into your future, but you don't know you're doing. You think because you are on this spot, right? No one is going to be on this spot forever. So while you're on this spot, you're looking at, okay, I'm still going to move forward, and in moving forward, kindness, right? Kindness, generosity, and you don't know where it's going to come from. You don't know who you're being kind to, who will take you to the next level. So just being focused on your job, I don't think that's smart.
It is not, but like, I mean, if you really think about it, right? Like, the reason I don't blame everybody is like,
Yeah.
at least people my age, we are facing with the fact that we will probably never be able to own a home, right? Like
Really?
the cost of housing has shot through the roof, right? Everything is expensive.
So you said you guys would never. There's a higher chance of.
There's a very, very low chance that we'll own a home, right? Cost of life has gone up. Cost
Yeah.
of your groceries have gone up.
Yeah.
We are constantly running,
Yeah.
right? I do not fault anybody for not being able to pass on a reference, because people are busy surviving, right? Like it's like I am lucky that my family is here and I can go back home and a roof over my head and a
Yeah.
food on table, right? Like a
Yeah.
lot of people I know don't have that,
Yeah.
right? So yes, sure, I've referred them and they could refer like few more people that
Yeah.
they know, but like if they don't, I don't really fault them for it. Like they don't have that luxury of taking a breather and like
So how would I put it this way? If I refer someone, right, and then the person does not refer another person, I'm not going to take it personal. I won't take it personal, number one, because I don't know the relationship they have with the people who they work with.
Yeah.
So if I don't know the relationships, because sometimes because of your relationship with the people you work with, if you refer someone, they're not going to take that person, right?
Yeah.
So you know I'm not really cool with these people right now, so I don't want to refer another person. Or you're like, this is not a healthy place, I want another person to come work
Yeah.
at, right? So I won't take it personal. However, if someone has the opportunity to refer another person and they refuse, that's wrong. That's wrong. Because it doesn't take 5 minutes to say, hey, I have someone, do you mind putting in a word for it? It doesn't take 5. So I would fault that person. If all the lines align, you have a good relationship with the people, it's a great place to work, and you know if you refer someone, that person may get an opportunity, and then you choose not to because you need to send another email. I would fault that person.
I still wouldn't. Like I would still give people the benefit of the doubt. Like there might be nobody.
If all the lines, if everything aligns,
even if everything's there, like it's just like ultimately we do live in a self-centered world, right? Sometimes people get caught up in their own stuff, right? Like it's
you're more gracious than I am.
Yeah, I just like give people the benefit of the doubt. It doesn't make sense to. Like if somebody didn't do it, there's no point in going back and like, why didn't you do it?
Oh no,
like,
I'm not gonna. No. The truth there.
No. That's the thing, right? Like you wouldn't go and do it to them, right? If you wouldn't go and confront a person about it, then why spend a minute of it thinking about it?
My point there is, you won't know the ones that align and don't align, right? So if I say, hey Abu, I have this person, can you refer? And you say, hey Gloria, I'm sorry, not at this time. That's fine. Or you see the email, you don't even respond. I say you're busy. I'm not going to take it personal. However, if you that I sent that email to, right, you know the lines align for you, you can refer that person, right? Then I think you doing that is wrong. Because you would never know if the person truly had the ability to help or not. You would never know.
Yeah.
However, that person knows truly within themselves. So if that person who knows truly within themselves I could help this person, and they refuse to help that person, it's wrong.
Maybe. It is wrong. I get
it is
that.
wrong, but
it is wrong.
Yeah, it is wrong because what does it take to push another person forward?
Nothing, right? Like it's not really much. It is wrong, but also at the same time, like you of all people would know this, right? You've texted me and I take ages to reply.
Yeah.
And like, it's the same principle, right? Like sometimes it's just, hey, I want to do it, but I get caught up in like something and I don't.
So that's a different ball game entirely, right? Because that's a different ball game. I know life happens. I text and it takes a while because you have to coordinate with a lot of people and all of that. So that's different because I know, the lines are not really aligning because it requires so much to do what you had to do, right? So that's different. The difference is that I text you, you look at it, and you have the answer for me, but you say, that's a different ball game. And that's the mindset I'm trying to change through my podcast, right? So people learn to be more generous. People learn to be kinder, right? People learn to be more selfless, because this is my take on selfishness. If if you truly want to be selfish, because when you're selfish, you're trying to protect, you're trying to get more for yourself, then you have to be selfless. The more you give, the more it comes back to you.
I agree.
It's just that people do not truly understand. That's why I'm like, you think it's common. People do not truly understand, because if they truly understand, they will be kinder.
Look, it's also probably from the fact that I work close with the sales team in our company, right?
Yeah.
So the sales team, how in our company it works is that we get, like, people literally fill out forms.
Yeah.
And we get that as a lead in our CRM.
Okay.
And what the sales guys do is call them, send them messages and everything. We have, like, a good chunk of them ghost us in the first message.
Yes.
Right? A good chunk. And this is for a service they asked for.
Yeah.
This is for a service that is catered to their exact need at this precise point of time.
Yeah.
And they ignore, right? They see the message, they cut, or they take up the call, like, call me back in 5 minutes. You call back in 5 minutes, they don't pick up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, these are things that happen.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm thinking about why does that happen?
Yeah.
And why it typically happens is because they're caught up.
Oh yes, that's genuine. That's genuine.
I am going to, like, I would be willing to apply that across the board, right? Like, if somebody sees the message and doesn't respond, busy. If somebody gets a reference, all it would take them is like click, forward to HR, right? They're not doing it because it's this thing, right? Like,
no, I hear you. We're saying the same thing.
Okay.
You give grace to people because you don't know the exact reason, and I agree. You give grace to the people as well. I would give grace. However, the end. You
no. From a personal point, if I saw that and I said, like, willingly, even if everything aligned and I don't want to do it,
we're saying
pardon my.
We're saying the same thing, right? Yeah. So I would give grace, right? Because I don't have all the information, and if I don't have all the information, my tendency is to give grace, right? And I would never have all the information. However, that other person has all the information, so they know when they were just being,
that's a valid.
Yes. Yeah. So you said networking, and the right networking, knowing how to prioritize who to reach out to more, and then you reach out to the person, not when you not immediately and then make an ask, but you just keep reaching out. Yes. So those are the ways that if you are in between jobs, you try to get the next job, right? But something else you did was you took classes. So did you have an idea of the job that you wanted, and then you were taking classes that would take you to that position, or you just
I just, like, again, like, education was like a personal field to me. I see, like, if I retire, I'm probably going to go to, like, a remote village and
then
teach,
just teach,
right? Like, that is my end goal. Like, so teaching was always something I wanted to do. There was an opportunity right there. It paid decently, so I was like,
why not?
Yeah, why not? And, like, it was teaching IT, so I enjoyed teaching it.
Yeah.
It was like I had, like, this nice little tablet that I used to draw on and explain things. It was a pleasant time.
Oh, wow.
Like, it was not a fatiguing experience. It was like naturally yapper, so it was like perfect fit.
Right. Yeah. Right. So we talked about two ventures you went into that did not succeed, and you didn't spend a long time. You knew when it was time to cut your loss. So how do you know when to cut your loss?
With the first one, it was not us cutting our losses. It was just things just went into a stalemate, right? Like, it was stale, nothing happened, and we were like, okay, this is probably not worth pursuing. The second time was like, we went into the market, we talked to people who would potentially be our customers. We saw if there's any way we can make iterations for it to make it a sellable product. When the overwhelming market said that this is not the product we want, then it made no sense. So that's you
knew it was time
plug,
to okay. And now you have a podcast. I talked to another member of your team, Gazala, and you guys are 8 people who are running this podcast. And for me, I know you guys may see it as a podcast. To me, I see it as an institution. I see it as a business. I see it as a corporation where you have so many shareholders and you have executives, right? So when you were choosing, whose idea was it in the first place?
How it came about is that me and my childhood friend, his name's Aditya, right? He doesn't show up to a lot of these events. He's like an introvert, private person. But I've known him since I was 13, and we went for universities. We kind of lost touch in between, and then we were like talking one day, and he was like, man, I hate my job, I need to do something. And we were like exploring everything from selling shoes to selling t-shirts, like what can we do? And we were like, okay, we don't know what to do, and probably the best way to get started is to ask people what they do. And what happened, what was event like a coffee shop chats became like, we started like, okay, this seems like something we can probably document it.
Yeah.
Right. We scrapped for equipment. We didn't, like, at that point I was unemployed. Aditya was the only one with a job.
And he didn't even like the job.
He didn't even like the job. Right. Like, Aditya was the only person with the job, and there was one more person, Guhesh. He was also unemployed at that time.
The idea started with you and Aditya,
yeah.
Right. Then how? So then how did all of these other people?
Right. So the problem was that how we thought about it is like two of us.
Yeah.
Like, at first I didn't want to be in front of camera at the first place, right? So we wanted to find somebody who knew how to do video editing, because I had no clue and Aditya had no clue. So we found a guy who can do a little bit of editing and somebody who can host.
Yeah.
And that's how it started.
So it was 4 people.
It was 5.
Okay.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5.
Okay.
Right? Me, Aditya, Guhesh, we didn't know some of the skills. So editor and somebody in front of the camera,
right,
as the face, right? And what happened, she wanted to travel more, she couldn't come at time, and good for you, like, travel. And this guy, he wanted to finish his bachelor's off, he was lagging behind. So I was like, listen, do your thing, right? And then we needed support, so I had a friend, she's still a friend, right, who comes from a film background, so she was helping us out, saying that, okay, this, what you're doing here is wrong, what you're doing here is wrong, here's how you fix it, here's how you streamline it. And she streamlined that entire setup for us with our cameras and stuff. And she taught me how to do the editing, how to fix things, how to put it all together. So for like the first, I think, like nearly 6 months, I was the one editing. And like, anytime I have a doubt, like, I call her up and like, how do I fix this, how do I fix it? That's how we had the 4th member of the team. Then what happened is that Ghazala, she used to come, like, because we used to do it, she's a friend, she used to come, she was like, you know what, I'll host one. Okay, welcome to the team. Another person came, let me host one, welcome to the team.
So how did you, because from what you're saying, it was you and the other guy who were the main people. So how did you choose, apart from the skill set that people brought, how did you choose members of your team?
It was just people who we enjoyed. Like, ultimately we were like, I was like the common factor, and it's just all my friends. So it's just people who you enjoy talking to. Any value system that you look at, that you say, these are the criteria I look at before I ask someone to join the team? Not really. Like, I'm a person who thinks like everybody has different beliefs. So me and my friend Aditya, like, since childhood, we used to disagree on everything, right? Till date, like, he has a completely different perspective of how to think versus me. Like, I completely disagree with him on everything. We go back and forth at each other on disagreements, right? But at the end of the day, I love the dude, so it's like, it is what it is. Right? So there's no, like, as long as your value system isn't like wrong in the sense.
So what would you call a wrong value system?
I don't know, kill people, like,
it can be that extreme.
So that's what, like, as long as it's not extreme beliefs, every belief is fair.
So what challenges have you faced working with a very diverse team?
I was not very good at working with people in general, right? Like, Ghazala can attest to that as well. Like, I worked with Ghazala on a lot of different things back in university and everything. And Ghazala can attest that, like, I was not good with people. Like I had terrible people skills.
When you say you're not good with people, what does that mean?
So when we were doing like these pitch competitions and everything, like, again, the competitive person in me, we finished a pitch, like right after pitch, like we won't even know the results, right? We don't even know if we won, we lost, nothing. I take them all to the side, like, this is where you stumbled, this is where this is what you said was wrong, this was wrong, this was wrong, you probably, like, it was like that, like it was hostile. And it was something I had to learn not to do over a period of time, right? Because that was just like making them very angry.
That's just like inflating the balloon.
It is. Like, there was this one competition, it was like 5 of us, we all went to Perth in Australia to pitch. Okay, it was like a 3-tier system. So you win in Dubai, you go to Perth. You win in Perth, you get to go to Sydney. So I really wanted to go to Sydney. And like Perth, we did the competition, everything. Like, we didn't even get the announcements. The judges are tallying the scores and everything. We had like a 40-minute break. Yeah, I was like on the corner, I was like telling them, you stumbled on this, you didn't say this thing, you missed out this point, this was wrong, this was complete. and like we are going to lose. They announced the winners and we are winners, and like everybody was giving me the eye. We were all happy, but everybody was giving me the eye, and like we go back to the hotel later and nobody would talk to me. Like they were like, what is wrong with you?
So you had to learn on your people skills for the group.
Yeah.
So to you, the major challenge was you.
Yeah, I was the challenge. Yeah, I am not going to sit here and lie to you about it. Like I am the problem. But it was like over a period of time, you have to like, you become less naive. You become,
of course,
you tend to, you work with people who do the same thing to you, and you understand that, okay, what I've done is wrong. Like you can't expect the same level from everybody.
Yeah.
And some people are like, it's also about understanding some people are better at you at certain things
than others.
Then it's a personal problem rather than a group problem.
Right.
So it's like, okay, great, you have that problem. How can we solve this? How can we solve this? Then it becomes like, how can I make the best atmosphere for you as much as I possibly can.
Yeah.
Right. It's probably never going to be perfect, but it's about like making sure that people are not disappointed to the best of my abilities.
Yeah.
Which was a massive skill I had to learn. Yeah.
So how many females do you have in the group?
We have a 4-4 split. So like a 4 male, 4 female.
Do you think women show up differently from men?
Not really. No. So I don't think it's a massive difference. Like, so for example, out of the 8 of us, right?
Yeah.
4 male, 4 female.
Yeah.
3 of the men are not as flaky as one of them, Anas. On the female side, 3 of the females are not as flaky as one of them.
So what is it flaky? What does
like,
flaky mean?
Flaky is like, I'll be there,
okay.
I'll come.
I wanted to be sure we meant the same thing. So flaky just means being unreliable.
No, he's very reliable. It's just like, not on the dot on things.
Yeah, that's it. Not completely unreliable.
Not completely unreliable. It's just like not on the dot on things, right? So that like out of the 8, there's 1 guy who's flaky, 1 female that's flaky. So that I would say it's a perfect split.
Okay, so they show up. So it's kind of But what about boldness, confidence, taking risk? Do you find any difference between men and women?
I would say. Honestly, like I would say the women are a lot more bolder.
Oh, really?
Right, because like Ghazala is a great example for us because like she's an ambivert, like she talks to the people. So
Ghazala was the guest in the previous episode, Ghazala Parker. If you haven't watched that episode, please go ahead and watch that episode. You would love her, absolutely.
Yeah, she was a relatively reserved person. Like she talks nice to us, but like not as outgoing as this thing, and this was a massive challenge for her. Right, like it's incredible for her to like say that, you know what, I'll do it. Right, that is, you don't get that from everybody.
Right.
And on the guy's side, there is like Aditya Macharu. He's never made a single appearance in front of the camera because he's doesn't want to get in front of the camera. Right, not as bold. Right, so
I see what you mean. So it's kind of like, to you it's about the same. It's about personality more than
it's
gender.
a very personality based. I would say the gender probably has very little to play with it.
Interesting. Okay. And this podcast is called Negotiation Secrets. And there are different ways we negotiate, right? We negotiate, sometimes we negotiate at home. If you're younger, you negotiate with your parents, your siblings. When you get older,
I think that's called a fight.
Lord have mercy. You fight with your siblings, you fight with your parents, and then when you fight with your spouse, because if you fight with your parents, definitely you fight with your spouse, and then you negotiate with your co-workers, and if you are in business, you negotiate with because negotiation cuts across almost all spheres of life. So with this team, when you need to get things done, how do you negotiate with the team?
Oh, that's a difficult one. It's mostly about hearing out what they want.
So you listen?
But if their want is unreasonable, then it's like I would imagine like negotiation is about winning, but the world is not a zero-sum game, right? Me winning doesn't mean you have to lose.
Right.
There's always a way.
Negotiation is a win-win.
Yeah, there's always a way to win, all of us to win. So if your objectives are met, my objectives are met, we all win. And because this is a relatively voluntary project, right? Like nobody is forced to be here.
Right.
It's a voluntary project. Everybody enjoys being there. Right. That means that like when there are 8 people, there are 8 egos that clash, and that does become a problem now and then, right? But it's ultimately like, hey, why are we here for? We're ultimately all friends, right?
Yeah.
We are not just working together on this. We're all friends. Like,
Yeah.
we know each other. I know you, you know me.
Right.
We all, like, outside of this, we go have lunch together, dinner together.
Yeah.
Right? We are friends at the end of the day. So if you have a personal problem with somebody, you talk to them.
Right.
You don't bring it into the group.
Okay. That's a good one.
That's ground rule 1.
Okay.
Ground rule 2 is, if you have a problem with me, you bring it to me.
Okay.
Right? You
I
don't
like
go tell anybody anything.
Yeah.
Okay. Ground rule 3 is that if I have a problem with you, I'm going to be direct with you. There's no sugarcoating it. There's no beating around the bush.
So does everybody in the group work by these rules, or it's just your rule, how you operate?
No, that's the ground rule I've set for everybody.
Okay.
Right? So I don't appreciate if somebody comes and tells me about somebody else.
Correct.
Right? If you have that problem with him,
yeah, go talk to him. And if you talk to him and there's a problem, then we can come back and try to resolve it.
I can help be the mediator, but then I need to know that both of you understand. Right? So anytime somebody comes, like, some of the times it hasn't worked, right? So some of the times you take okay, I'm breaking the ground rules. I'll talk to you. What is your problem?
Right.
Okay, you have a problem? Okay, let me go. I talk to the other person. This is the problem. Can you relax?
Yeah.
Okay. Sometimes it's not like when egos are involved, like one person says something and then instead of, like, there's 2 ways to do it, right? Like, if somebody is very egotistic and they say something out of the gate, probably the best way to is not go to that person and say, why did you say that? Probably to go to the other person and say, like, okay, this has happened. Let it go. Right? Like, so it's also like the ground rule 4 is like, let it go.
Yeah.
Right? Like, it's not the end of the world. It's fine.
Yeah.
Sure, your egos are bruised a little, like,
but it's okay.
It's okay.
It's not the end of the world.
That's ideally the 4 ground rules, right? Like, if you follow all these ground rules, like,
you'll be fine.
It will be fine.
You know, the part I like the most, listening, that's baseline. We have to listen to people. For you to even have a good conversation, you have to listen to the person. But the part I like the most is not allowing petty gossip.
Yeah.
That kills an organization faster than any other thing. And it's so easy for someone to be seen as the weak link or seen as the evil person, the bad person. Oh, this person always does this because one person has said this to me, and then I say to the other person, and then that person says it to the other person.
I'm not going to sit here and lie that it hasn't happened, right?
No, like, but if you encourage it will be bigger than it is now.
Yeah, I try to discourage it as much as possible, but there's only so much I can do, right? I am not, there's 8 of us. Like, I can't be responsible for one person talking to another person about somebody else. This is really out of my control.
Yeah.
Right? So it's also a principle of, if it's out of my control, it's out of my control.
Of course.
If it's not my problem, I don't care.
Yeah.
I have bigger fish to fry. So
there's this guy, I don't know if you know Simon Sinek.
Simon Sinek, I've heard of him,
I love his leadership style.
Okay.
And that's part of what you were describing, how they don't carry gossip around. They don't encourage it. It's not, it could still happen, but there's a difference between an organization where gossip is encouraged and where gossip is not encouraged, right? So someone comes to you, or someone comes to you and they say, oh, this person did this, and you say, have you talked to the person about it?
Yeah.
That's a different ballgame from when you go like, oh, so that person said that, then what happened next? What else did they say? And then, so it's a good, so what I'm just trying to say, you're on the right path. What it is, your ground rules are great rules.
It's not just like ground rules that I've made up, right? Like, in the organization that I currently work with, we have an amazing environment there, right? Like, beautiful place to work at, no hiccups, no egos.
So they run by the same principles.
Very similar principles. You have problem with somebody, deal with it yourself. Like, this can't be an organization problem because you have petty problems with somebody. Yeah.
So I have another question for you with regards to negotiation. So the first part we talked about was how you negotiate within your group, right? How you keep the energy going, so everyone still has a positive outlook towards the whole organization. But when you negotiate outside, not with your group now, so just as your as your principal. So I'll give you an example so you understand what I mean. So for me, when I negotiate, what I focus on, and I teach women how to negotiate. When I teach people to negotiate, the first thing I tell people is, I think is the 101 of negotiation is know what you bring to the table. Because when you know what you bring to the table, then it's easy for you to ask for what you deserve. So what is your number one negotiation superpower?
Knowing what I want is obviously step one. Like,
knowing what you want.
Yeah, it's I am coming from. It's not just what I have to give. It's also about what my objectives of it is. Right? Like, I am naturally, like, not naturally, like, as I've grown older, I try to avoid confrontation at as much as possible. So if I'm going into a confrontational state, like, even if it's a friendly negotiation, like, it is a state of confrontation, right? Like if I'm going into that, I want to be very clear of what I want to come out with.
Yeah.
Right? Like what is my objective?
Your objective. Yeah.
If my objectives are met, then the next step is like what I have to offer to get my objectives. And if I don't have much to offer, then I have to bring down my objectives a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? So it's just knowing that ratio between. So I can't ask for the world when I have nothing to give, and I can't ask for nothing when I have the world to give, right? Like like it's just that ratio of
that's a good way
what to offer versus
that's a good way to see it. I've talked to so many people about negotiation, and most people it would be, I know what I have to offer, then I'm going to know what to ask. But for you, you're like, I know what I'm going to ask, and then I'm going to match to see what I'm asking is in line with my skill set.
This happens in like job interviews quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
Like, so a typical question from a job interviewer is probably like, how much are you expecting? Right? And how much are you expecting is what do you say? It's like a catch question.
That I teach people not to answer that question.
Yeah,
say, what are you offering?
No, so I kind of disagree on that.
Why
right?
do you?
Okay, so there's two ways to answer, right? Like three, 4 ways, like multiple ways to answer,
Yeah.
right? One is to ask like, what is your budget, right? Like what budget are you asking, right? Probably the most straightforward.
Yeah, no,
so that you don't undersell yourself.
That's still the same thing as what I said,
Yeah.
where you don't give a value. So I don't believe in giving the value. So you see so if you ask what's the budget, you haven't given a value. So what other way?
Yeah, so that's one. The second thing a lot of people my age do is they give a range.
Okay.
Right? I can do from X to Y sort of range, which is probably the worst thing, right? So when I had that conversation, I went on LinkedIn, I saw what was the average job.
Yeah.
This thing, like what is the average rate they're doing it.
Yeah.
You go through all these sites, you have to do some research, right?
Yes, of course.
Right? I knew what the average price is.
Yeah.
Right? Like I told like the person who referred me, he was asking me, what are you looking at?
Yeah.
And I was like, this is the range I'm looking, like this is the precise point I'm looking at.
Yeah.
And he's like, listen, the company has more budget, just ask for more.
You see, that's why I tell my people that I coach, do not give a value, because you can shoot yourself in the foot by asking. You don't know how much they have. Maybe because you're inexperienced, you don't know this company. Then you say maybe the budget is 100,000. You say, oh, I want 70.
Yeah, why shoot yourself, right?
Right. So that's why I say,
maybe that's probably because I had the inside knowledge already.
If you have inside knowledge, and that's a different ball game. You know what the value is. Then you become unreasonable when you're asking for so much more than what's reasonable, or then you become
And if the budget is unreasonable and you know it in front, you shouldn't even take the interview in the first place.
Correct.
And waste everybody's time.
So I tell people, do not ask for, except but do not give the first offer. Don't give the first value as much as possible. Then when you start going back and forth, then that's where someone has to now give a value, right? That's when I tell people you can do a range. Just so
I still think like probably the way you say like ask for the budget is probably a better way than saying a range, because the range.
But if you're going back and forth, right? So maybe they say, oh, how much do you want? You're like, well, what's your budget? They say, well, we don't really have a budget. We don't know. You can't keep going back and forth for then somebody has to break that tie. Someone has to take leadership role and then say, I'll give you a range. And the range is not based on some arbitrary figures that you're picking up from the air. This role, there is this amount they pay this role, and then you give a range which is above that range, and then it will be the lowest that role ever pays.
Okay, here's my question for you, right? Like say for example, I have an interview and I say that, hey, what is your budget?
Correct.
And they say, let's put arbitrary numbers to it, right? Let's say 15 to 20.
Yeah.
15 to 20,000.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'm going to, then it feels like, then if I say 15.
Why would you say 15? Go for 20.
Which you never say.
Oh, go
then
for 25.
I would say 20. Right? Or you go for 25.
Yeah.
But then doesn't it feel like you are judging your value based on what's there to offer, rather than you already knowing what your work is worth? No. Because I would imagine.
Let me put it this way for you, Abu.
Okay, let me elaborate a little further. Let's say my role as operations in a company versus operations in 20 other company commands X as a price. So wouldn't my price also be in the ballpark of X plus minus 1,000?
So this is how I see it, right? I have an opening. I have a budget for it. 20,000. And then you come in, you interview. I think you're the best thing that's happened in this life, and I really want you to work for me. And I offer you the role, and you say, what's my budget? I say, it's 20,000, right? And then it's for you to either take it or you leave it. You can't force me to give what I don't have. You can push me, you can encourage me if the value you're adding is so great, you can push me and encourage me to give more.
That's what I'm coming to. Then the value of your role is determined by the company, right?
Of course.
Which makes it like, it makes me feel like I am not valuing my work based on what I believe it's worth.
No,
right?
that's not true. It's not that you're not valuing your work. It's just that that's the money they have for that budget. I'm a doctor, right? I'm a doctor. I have a master's. I have a PhD. But there are places I go to that I know this company, this is what they have. And I know me wanting to say, I'm going to put all of this to pull that out of them. It's not possible. People cannot give you what they don't have.
Yeah.
They can only give you what they have. And so sometimes it's either you take it or you leave it. I can't force people to give me what they don't want to give me.
Okay, maybe probably a very simplified example is you go to a store and you see that small piece of plant. Right? You ask the guy like, how much is it? Okay. And he says, how much do you have? And then it becomes that's how I'm looking at it, right? Like, if you don't know the value of it, then who is the arbiter of value?
So that's why my 101 of negotiation is know your value, right? So it seems it goes back to that. You know your value. Because when you know your value and then you are negotiating, then you know when to walk away. And you don't have to accept or force the other person. So maybe there are places where I interview and they offer me certain amounts of money. I'm like, I like you guys, but I'm not going to work for you guys because of that. And I walk away, right? I can't force them to give me what I think I deserve.
But then it's also the other way around, right? If I am valuing me at X and the price they give you is X plus 1, then you're kind of overvaluing yourself, right? And how do you
What do you mean you're overvaluing
let's
yourself?
say I value my work at 15,000.
Yes.
And the company says there's 25,000 to give.
Yes.
Right? Any non-stupid person would say like, okay, I'll take the 25,000.
Yeah.
Right? But then effectively you're overvaluing what you're worth, right? Then you have a lot to live up for.
No, not necessarily, because there was a job description you interviewed for. The money is just compensation for the service that you provided. It just means that those people have more to give you than you expected, period. There's no point overthinking it. Value is a very relative term, right? So I value myself as this, and then I apply for a job. Although I value myself as this, it does not mean that the other person has to match that value of what I think about myself. Maybe I feel like, okay, my worth is $500,000 a year, but I go somewhere, they say, oh, we're going to pay you $450,000 a year. Then I can walk away and say, hey, I want more. There are people who have more skill sets than I have, who have more value in quotes, who will say, you know what, I'll take this 450 for whatever reason they want to take, for whatever reason, right? So it's not that hard, it's not that clear cut, like, oh, if they give me more, it means they value me more than I value myself, then I have to up my game. You don't have to up your game. Because you interviewed for a role, you told them what you could do, except when you're lying, right? Except maybe I go somewhere, I say I'm a neurosurgeon, and then they give me more than normally they would give me. Then when it's time to operate on the brain, then I'm like, right? But it's not that. It's a lot easier.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
Yeah. So when you started your podcast, right? You really didn't have much. It was just, you had the idea, you didn't have so many, you didn't have as much human resource or, financial resource, but you just started.
Yeah.
Some people I know, they wait for perfection. They wait till they have everything before they start. So what do you think between perfection and just starting with what you have? What's your take on that?
I was a perfectionist, right? Like, I would never I remember having a fight with somebody because one of the presentation decks didn't have a perfect 45-degree triangle. So that was the type of person. But when push comes to shove, you got to get something out.
So you got mature.
It's mature, and it's also like maturity, sure. I would mostly say, like, again, it's when push comes to shove, you need something to show up with.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's better to show up with something that's garbage than with nothing.
Right, because you can improve on that.
You can improve on garbage. You can't improve on nothing. Yeah. So that's
Abu,
pretty
you
much
and I
it,
have
really.
finally agreed. We
Yeah.
said the same word at the same time. I think at this point we should
Yeah.
end the show.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Abu, I've
Right.
enjoyed talking to you.
Likewise.
Yes. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I'm sure there's so much you can learn from. And if you have questions, if you have any areas that you want to throw more light, feel free to leave your comments. But there's one thing I want you to do this week, and it comes from what Abu said. He used to be a perfectionist, but I'm sure he still has some degree of perfectionism in him, but he knew when it was time not to be perfect. So I want you to look in your life. What part of your life are you pursuing perfection? I don't believe in perfection. I believe in excellence. So and sometimes you just need to start. You don't have to be perfect to start. Like Abu and I agreed on, you can improve on imperfection, but you can improve on nothing. So why don't you get started on one project today? And then I want you to share this podcast. I want you to I want you to be a part of this community where we are improving on how we show up. We just want to get the best out of life, and we're all supporting each other. And then last but not least, I strongly believe that you were born to be great, so go be great. But before I hang up, I want Abu to tell you guys where you can find him.
Right. So the Dollar Diaries on YouTube. You can find us on LinkedIn around the same name. You can visit our website at thedollardiaries.media.
Abu, it was a pleasure talking to you.
Yes.